Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of knocking us down. It throws punches we never saw coming, and sometimes it feels like we're left gasping for air, wondering if we'll ever stand again. But let me tell you something, falling is not the end of the story. It never was. The comeback, that moment when you rise from the ashes of defeat, is the most powerful thing you will ever experience. And here's the truth, it's personal. No one else can define your journey. No one else can dictate your limits. There will be voices telling you to quit, to accept failure as your fate, to stay down because getting up is too hard. But those voices don't know you. They don't know the fire inside you, the strength that refuses to fade, the heartbeat that still whispers, not yet. A comeback isn't about proving anything to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about standing in front of the mirror, looking into your own eyes and saying, I am not done. It's about facing the doubts, the pain, the exhaustion, and still choosing to move forward. Because the hardest battles aren't fought in front of crowds. They're fought in silence, in the dead of night when no one is watching. They're fought when you're alone with your thoughts, with your fears, with your past, whispering that you can't. And that's when you decide, I will. The beauty of a comeback is that it doesn't require permission. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment or the right circumstances. It begins the second you decide that your story isn't over. And when you rise, when you push past every obstacle, something incredible happens. The pain that once held you back becomes the very force that drives you forward. The scars that once reminded you of your failures become proof of your resilience. This is not just about winning, it's not just about success, it's about taking back control, it's about refusing to let failure have the last word. There comes a moment in every struggle when the noise of the world fades and you are left with only yourself. No applause, no validation, no one to tell you what to do next. Just you and the decision that will define everything. This is where the comeback is born. Not in the spotlight, not in the eyes of those watching, but in the quiet conviction that no matter how far you've fallen, you are not staying down. This is not about proving anything to them. It never was. It's not about showing the doubters they were wrong or making the world to acknowledge your strength. That's just background noise. The real battle is with the person staring back at you in the mirror. Can you look into your own eyes and say, I am not done? Can you silence the voice in your head that says, maybe this is it? Because in the end, it doesn't matter what anyone else believes, you are the only one who has to believe in yourself. Too often people make the mistake of thinking comebacks are about external victories, about getting recognition or proving a point. But the truth is, the most powerful comebacks don't happen in front of crowds. They happen in the dark, in the silence of your own thoughts, when you decide, without permission, without approval, that you're going to rise again. And when you do, it won't be because someone told you to. It will be because you made that choice for yourself. That's why this journey is personal, because no one else feels the weight of your failures like you do. No one else knows the depth of what you lost, what it cost you, or what it took to even stand again. No one else can fully understand the quiet moments when you questioned whether you had anything left to give. And no one else will ever feel the fire in your chest when you take back control of your life. This is not about them, it's about you. Your strength, your resilience, your ability to write your own story instead of letting life write it for you. The comeback isn't about winning in their eyes. It's about looking at yourself and knowing without a shadow of a doubt that you have refused to stay broken. You fought for yourself when no one else did, and that is the greatest victory of all. There will always be voices telling you that you can't, that you're not strong enough, not smart enough, not capable enough to rise from the fall. They will remind you of every mistake, every failure, every reason why you should just accept defeat and move on. And for a moment, you might even believe them. But here's the truth, those voices don't know you. They don't know the battles you've fought in silence, the storms you've survived, the fire inside you that refuses to go out. They don't know the depth of your strength because they have never had to walk in your shoes. They speak from the outside, from a place of limitation, from their own fears and insecurities. And if you listen too closely, you might start seeing yourself through their eyes instead of your own. Doubt is a contagious disease, spreading from those who never dared to chase their own comebacks. It's easier for them to tell you to give up than to confront the fact that they never had the courage to keep going themselves. But your path is not theirs. Your destiny is not in their hands. They can talk, they can judge, they can whisper all they want, but at the end of the day, they are not the ones who have to live with the consequences of giving up. You are. So let them doubt, let them underestimate you, let them say what they will, because when you rise, when you stand back up, despite everything, they won't be the ones who made it happen. You will. And that moment, that victory will be yours alone. Not because you needed to prove them wrong, but because you refused to let them define you. Because you looked them in the eye, smiled, and did it anyway. The hardest battles are not fought in front of crowds. They are not the moments of applause, of recognition, of grand victories for the world to see. No, the real battles happen in silence. They happen in the dead of night, when the weight of failure sits heavy on your chest, when doubt creeps in like a shadow, whispering that maybe this is as far as you go. They happen when no one is watching, when there's no one to cheer you on, no one to pick you up, no one to tell you that you can still fight. This is where comebacks are made, not in the spotlight, but in the darkness where it's just you and your thoughts. When you're exhausted, when you feel broken, when you question whether it's even worth trying again, this is the moment that defines everything, because this is where most people give up. This is where they decide that the struggle is too much, that the pain is too heavy, that the mountain is too steep to climb. And yet this is also the moment where something powerful can happen if you let it, because if you can stand in that silence, in that isolation, and choose to fight anyway, you become unstoppable. If you can look at yourself battered and bruised and still say, I am not done yet, you will find a strength you never knew existed. That strength doesn't come from the world, doesn't come from motivation or inspiration or external validation. It comes from within, from that deep, unshakable part of you that refuses to accept defeat. No one will see this part of your journey. No one will know about the nights you spent struggling, the moments you almost gave up, the silent war you waged within yourself. But when you rise, when you step back into the light stronger than ever, they will see the result, and they will wonder how you did it. The answer? You won the battle when no one was watching. You made the choice to keep going when no one else would have blamed you for stopping. And that choice, made in silence, is what turns setbacks into comebacks. There is no perfect moment to start again, no grand sign from the universe, no ideal conditions waiting to make your comeback easier. If you sit around waiting for the right time, you will be waiting forever. The truth is, comebacks don't happen when everything falls into place. They happen the moment you decide that your story isn't over. That single decision, made in the middle of the mess, in the midst of the chaos, is what changes everything. People think a comeback starts when the pain is gone, when the obstacles are cleared, when the past no longer haunts you. But that's not how it works. The comeback begins while the pain is still fresh, while the doubts still whisper, while the weight of everything you've lost still sits heavy on your shoulders. It happens when you're still bleeding from the fall but decide to stand anyway, when you're still afraid but move forward anyway, when you're still unsure of the outcome but refuse to let fear make the choice for you. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need guarantees, a roadmap, or reassurance that everything will go smoothly. What you need is the willingness to take the first step, even when you don't know where it will lead. The moment you do, something shifts. The weight of defeat starts to lose its grip. The past stops dictating the future. The pain that once held you back becomes the fire that pushes you forward. And before you know it, you are no longer trapped in the moment of your fall. You are walking straight towards your redemption. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop looking for signs that it's time to begin again. The moment you decide that you're not done, that is the moment your comeback begins. Scars tell a story, not a story of weakness, not a story of failure, but a story of survival. Every scar, whether physical or emotional, is proof that you faced something meant to break you. But you didn't stay broken, you endured, you pushed through, and now those scars remain not as reminders of pain, but as evidence of resilience. People are often ashamed of their scars. They try to hide them, to erase them, to pretend they were never hurt in the first place. But why? Scars are not signs of defeat, they are signs of healing. They show that no matter what tried to tear you apart, it failed. They show that you didn't give up when it would have been easier to. And if anything, they should be worn like badges of honor because they prove one undeniable truth. You survived. The world tries to glorify perfection, but perfection has no story. Perfection has no depth, no struggle, no proof of strength. The strongest people you will ever meet are not the ones who have never fallen, but the ones who have fallen, shattered, and rebuilt themselves piece by piece. The ones who have walked through fire and come out on the other side, not unburned, but unbroken. So don't hide your scars. Don't be ashamed of what you've been through. The comeback is not about pretending you were never wounded. It's about showing that your wounds did not define you, that you did not let the pain stop you, that instead of breaking you, it made you stronger. Because in the end, the most powerful comebacks are not the ones that erase the past, but the ones that embrace it and rise anyway. Pain has a way of making you believe it's permanent. It whispers that this is your new reality, that the weight you carry will never lighten, that the struggle will never end. But pain is not the enemy. Pain is not a life sentence, it is a force, and like all forces, it can be transformed. The very thing that once held you down can become the thing that lifts you up if you choose to let it. Every setback, every disappointment, every heartbreak comes with two choices: let it break you or let it build you. Most people let pain define them, allowing it to dictate their actions, their fears, their limits. But the strongest among us, the ones who rise, are the ones who take that pain and turn it into fuel. They use it to push harder, to go further, to become something greater than they ever imagined. Think about it. What if every moment of struggle was actually preparing you? What if the pain wasn't there to stop you, but to shape you, to refine you, to strip away everything that isn't essential so that only the strongest, most unshakable version of you remains? Pain has a way of revealing what you're truly made of. It forces you to dig deeper than you ever thought possible, to find strength you never knew you had. You don't have to be afraid of pain. You don't have to let it paralyze you. Instead, let it push you. Let it remind you why you can't stop, why you can't give up, why you have to keep moving forward. Because when you take the very thing that was meant to break you and turn it into the force that drives you, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not failure, not even the past. That is the power of transformation. That is the foundation of every great comeback. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the perfect opportunity, the perfect moment, or the perfect set of circumstances to rise again. If you are waiting for permission to take your life back, you will be waiting forever. The truth is, the only person who has the power to change your story is you. The comeback is not something that happens to you, it's something you take control of. It's easy to believe that life is just a series of things that happen, that fate has already decided your path, that once you've fallen, you're meant to stay down. But that's a lie. Every great comeback in history began with a single moment, a decision, a moment when someone refused to accept that their story was over, a moment when they stood up, looked at their circumstances and said, "This is not how my story ends." You have that same power right now, in this very moment. You have the ability to take back control, not tomorrow, not when things get easier, not when the pain is gone or the wounds have healed. Now, as the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the belief that you are still in control. And the second you embrace that truth, everything changes. No more waiting for someone else to tell you it's time. No more searching for signs that you're ready. No more believing that you need permission to rise. You are not a victim of your past. You are the author of your future. And the moment you choose to reclaim your story is the moment your comeback begins. There comes a point when enough is enough. A moment when you decide that you will no longer be defined by what happened to you, by what went wrong, by the moments that nearly broke you. This is the turning point. This is when the comeback begins. Not when the world recognizes it, but when you make the choice to rise. You don't need permission to fight for yourself. You don't need approval to take back control. The world might not expect you to return. People might doubt your strength. They might assume you're finished. Let them, because the greatest comebacks aren't loud at first. They begin in silence, in the quiet determination of someone who has had enough of being held back by fear, failure, or the past. There will be resistance. There will be moments when doubt tries to creep in, when the weight of everything you've been through tries to convince you that staying down would be easier. But staying down is not an option. You have already seen what it feels like to be at your lowest. Now it's time to see how far you can go. This is not just about success. It's not just about proving a point. This is about taking back what is yours, your confidence, your strength, your belief in yourself. This is about standing up after everything tried to keep you down and saying, "I am still here." Because once you make that decision, once you commit to rising, nothing and no one can stop you. The comeback is not just about winning, it's about refusing to lose. There is a moment in every comeback when you realize that the struggle was never about proving anything to the world. It was never about validation, recognition, or applause. It was about standing face to face with yourself and knowing without a doubt that you refuse to be defeated. It was about reclaiming your power, your purpose, and your belief in yourself. No one else will ever fully understand what it took for you to get back up. They won't know the nights you spent questioning, the battles you fought in silence, the moments you almost let go. They won't see the weight you carried, the scars you hid, the strength it took to rise when every part of you wanted to stay down. And that's okay, because this was never about them. The comeback was always personal. Life does not hand out easy victories. It tests you, it challenges you. It pushes you to the edge just to see what you're made of. And in that moment, when everything feels impossible, when doubt is screaming in your ear. You have a choice: to surrender or to fight, to accept defeat or to rise, to let the past define you or to take control of your future. And when you choose to fight, when you refuse to be broken, when you stand up one more time than you fall, that is when you become unstoppable. The comeback is not just a moment, it is a mindset. It is a decision that you will not let failure be your final chapter. It is the relentless pursuit of something greater, the unshakable belief that you are capable of more, that you deserve more, that you are more. It is not about erasing the past, but using it to fuel the future. So walk forward, not as the person who fell, but as the person who refused to stay down. Not as the person who was broken, but as the person who rebuilt themselves stronger than before. This is your story. This is your fight. And this is your comeback. There is a moment in every journey when you realize that the fight was never about proving anything to the world. It was never about silencing the doubters, impressing the critics, or earning anyone's approval. It was always about you. It was about standing face to face with your own reflection, staring into your own soul, and deciding that no matter how many times life knocked you down, you were not staying there. It was about reclaiming your identity, your strength, your purpose, and your belief in yourself. No one will ever truly understand the weight of what you've carried. No one will ever feel the depth of the struggles you have endured. They will see you rise, they will see you standing strong, but they will never fully know the battles that took place behind closed doors. They won't know about the nights you spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was even worth it to try again. They won't know the moments when doubt wrapped itself around you so tightly that you almost believed its lies. They won't see the scars you hide, the silent wars you waged within yourself, the pain you had to endure just to make it to another day. And that's okay, because this journey was never about them. This was never about proving a point to anyone else. The comeback was always personal. It was always about finding the strength to fight for yourself when no one else could. It was about learning that true power doesn't come from external validation, it comes from within. It comes from making the choice to rise when every part of you is screaming to give up. Life does not hand out victories easily. It tests you, it throws obstacles in your path. It will push you to the very edge just to see how much you're willing to endure. And in that moment, when everything feels impossible, when you are standing at the crossroads of giving up or pushing forward, you have to decide. Will you let the pain define you, or will you use it to fuel your comeback? Will you surrender to the weight of your struggles, or will you rise and show the world, and more importantly yourself, that you are stronger than everything that tried to break you? That is the defining moment of every great comeback. It's not when the world starts cheering for you. It's not when success finally arrives. It's in the silence, in the loneliness, in the doubt, when you decide, without anyone watching, without anyone telling you to, that you are not done yet. The comeback is not a single event. It's not just a triumphant moment of victory. It is a mindset. It is a decision you make every single day to keep going when it's easier to stop, to fight when you feel weak, to believe in yourself even when no one else does. It is the unshakable determination to rise no matter how many times you fall. It is the refusal to let failure write your story, and that is what makes it powerful. Not the end result, not the applause, not the recognition, but the journey, the struggle, the resilience that is built in the process of getting back up. Because in the end, the comeback isn't about being the same person you were before the fall. It's about becoming someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who knows that no failure, no setback, no loss has the power to define them unless they allow it to. So as you move forward, do not walk as the person who fell. Walk as the person who refused to stay down. Walk with the confidence of someone who has been tested and survived. Walk with the fire of someone who has turned pain into power, failure into wisdom, and struggle into strength. This is your story. This is your fight, and this is your comeback.